I met with a couple yesterday for their quarterly review. They're newly retired. They were great savers and wonderful people. Their Social Security and their annuity covered almost all of their expenses, but not quite. They were just a wee bit short. So I told them it's time to start drawing from your IRA. They nodded politely, the same kind of nod my sons give me when they're pretending to listen to me. I get it. After a lifetime of saving, spending that money, well, it just feels wrong, like you're breaking a rule you've lived by for 40 years or so. That's the real challenge in retirement, shifting from saving for life to actually living it. We've all been taught by the same formula: save more, invest more, delay gratification. But nobody ever teaches us how to spend once we finally make it. And that's where Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, comes in. What a great book. Aside from the critically acclaimed by my family, The Securement Method, available on Amazon, no book has hit me quite like Housel's work. Ideas like wanting less, understanding that we're not algorithms, we're people, and how hard it is to stop those financial goalposts from continually moving. They just stick with you. These lessons are timeless. The concept that enough can truly be enough. And now in his new book, The Art of Spending Money, Simple Choices for a Richer Life, Housel, well, he flips the script again. This time he's not teaching how to build wealth. He's teaching you how to use it, how to spend with purpose, not guilt. Because if saving is a skill, then spending it, well, it's an art. So in today's video, I'll share 5 lessons from this new book, and we'll dive right in after I quickly introduce myself. Hi, I'm Daryl, and this is the Retirement Guide channel, where I help people plan for and enjoy their retirement, hopefully. You can learn more about how I help people just like you at theretirementguide.com. Let's get started. Lesson number 1, spend to reflect, not impress. One of the biggest mistakes people make, and Housel hits this head on, is confusing admiration with happiness. We buy things to be admired, not because they make us happier. You've seen it. The $80,000 car parked outside a house that hasn't seen a vacation in years, or the guy with a watch that costs more than his first car and he still can't sleep at night. And it's not just about showing off, it's about competing. And social media makes it feel like everyone else is doing just a little bit better, traveling just a little more, or living in a nicer zip code than you or I. Housel calls this social debt, spending to keep up instead of spending to feel fulfilled. And I see it all the time. I had a client a few years ago, great guy, late 50s, worked hard his whole life. He'd done really well, but every time he saw a friend buy a new car or a second home, he felt like he was falling behind all his peers. So one day he splurged on his brand new luxury SUV. It looked great. It smelled great for a while. But a month later, he admitted something to me over coffee. He said, "You know what, Daryl? I don't even like driving. I just didn't want to feel left out." I nodded as I wondered where I had parked my Maserati. Kidding. But that's social debt. You buy something to fill a hole that comparison dug, and it never works. Real wealth, Housel reminds us, is what you don't see. The paid off house, the mornings without alarms, the freedom to say no to things you don't want to do. That's the real art of spending, letting your money reflect who you are, not who you're trying to impress. So if your version of rich is Friday lunches with friends, or spoiling your grandkids, or saying no to stress, then congratulations, because you've probably made it. Here's lesson number 2, spend to minimize regret. One of the most powerful points in Morgan Housel's new book is about regret. He says, people rarely wish they had saved more. They wish they had used more of what they already had while they still could. This is something I've learned firsthand. A few years ago, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and my dad all passed away, all within about a 12-month period. It was a wonderful year. But what really stayed with me was how quickly things changed for each of them. One month they were independent, driving, making plans, and then suddenly life shrank down to things like blood tests and physical therapy and doctor's appointments, one after another. They didn't lose their money. They lost their capacity to use it, their health, their energy, their time. And that changed how I think about retirement, because at some point, the question isn't just, do I have enough? It's, am I using what I have while it still matters? That's the quiet danger of being too careful for too long. You wait for the perfect time to spend, and then one day that time is gone. Smart spending isn't about extravagance or risk. It's about timing. Spending in a way your future self will thank you for, because money can buy comfort, connection, and memories, but only if you use it while you still can. Here's lesson number 3. Spend to amplify what's already good. Okay, here's another very powerful lesson. Money does not create happiness. It amplifies what's already there. If you're grateful, money helps you express it. If you're generous, if you're that kind of giving person, it lets you give more freely. If you're anxious, well, now you just have a higher balance to stress over. The point is, money makes you more of who you already are. So before you decide how to spend it, figure out what actually makes you happy and build from there. For some people, that's travel. For others, it's family dinners, it's volunteering or helping a grandchild through college. For me, it's reading, plain and simple, reading. And sometimes it's simply buying yourself time. That might mean hiring help so you can stop doing chores you hate. It doesn't have to be extravagant. That's the part that always gets me. I have a client of modest means who hires a cleaning crew every 2 weeks. While her house is being cleaned, she takes a long walk in the forest preserve with an old friend. She recently told me, I used to spend Saturdays on my hands and knees scrubbing the kitchen. Now someone else does it while I walk and laugh with my best friend. Buying back 2 hours of peace and good conversation. That's the best money I've ever spent. Wow. That's the art of it, right? Spending not to impress, but to align your time and your values. Maybe that's taking the nonstop flight instead of the one with the 6-hour layover in Dallas. Less greasy airport food, more sanity. Or saying yes to a trip that feels a little indulgent because you've earned the right to enjoy it without guilt. Housel calls this spending with alignment, using money as a tool to make your days richer, fuller, not your closets fuller. And I love that because it's not about more, it's about better. Plus, I don't really like going clothes shopping. Lesson number 4 is self-awareness over spreadsheets. Housel argues that the best spending decisions don't come from formulas. They come from knowing yourself. And I think about this all the time. We are not spreadsheets, we are people. And he called this self-awareness over spreadsheets, because here's the truth. Your values, your upbringing, even your fears, they all shape what worth it means to you, not a spreadsheet. So instead of comparing your spending to other neighbors, it's important to ask yourself, what actually brings me joy and satisfaction? By the way, the data backs all this up. A study in Psychology Today found that people with high financial self-awareness, meaning they understand their habits, their triggers, their values, they are far more likely to feel satisfied with their finances. They're more likely to stay within their means and keep saving for retirement. It's not the biggest paycheck that predicts peace of mind. It's really the clearest sense of your purpose. Maybe you don't care about luxury brands or fancy cars. Maybe what really fills you is family time or dinners or travel or the freedom to pick up a check for maybe a friend who's had a rough year. Money isn't a math test. It's a mirror. It reflects what you value most, and that reflection should look like you, not someone else's version of success. Lesson number 5 is reevaluate what enough means to you. So this is one of Housel's most underrated ideas, is that your definition of enough changes over time, and that's important. Things change. Enough can be enough. That's my favorite expression from him. What feels worth spending on in your 50s may not mean the same in your 70s, and that's okay because your priorities evolve, your health shifts, your joy changes shape. What you have can be enough. Housel says money isn't just about planning for the future. It's about constantly reevaluating what matters to you most right now. And I see this all the time with retirees. Early on, they want that adventure. They want the travel. A few years later, the focus might turn to family, to comfort, to health. And then sometimes it's just peace of mind, simplicity, not stuff. The mistake people make is assuming their financial plan should stay frozen while their life keeps changing. That's not really how it works. But spending like life needs flexibility, because every season of life has its own version of enough. And if you don't stop once in a while to ask what feels worth it right now, you risk chasing the version of happiness you used to want instead of the one that actually fits you today. Enough can be enough. I love that phrase from Housel's first book, The Psychology of Money. So powerful. I really wish I had read that book 30 years ago. So when you put all this together, Housel's message is really pretty quite simple. And it's one I think about every day. Spending isn't about showing off your wealth. It's about experiencing life. It's not about control. It's about clarity, not about indulgence, but intention. Because at some point, after all the saving, the planning, the worrying, the real question becomes, what good is wealth if you never let yourself live it? The art of spending isn't reckless. It's responsible joy. It's using your money to build a life that feels full, not just well-funded. Now, if you've already built a solid nest egg, maybe you're working with an advisor or you think your plan is, well, good enough or probably good, this might be the perfect time to double check it. That's exactly why I offer the Securement Review. It's a fiduciary retirement review. It's flat fee, independent second opinion that pressure tests your entire plan, your income, your risk, your taxes, your drawdown strategy, your asset mix, all of it without trying to sell you something. You walk away with clarity, control, and confidence that your plan will hold up when it matters the most, because peace of mind doesn't come from hoping you've got it right. It comes from knowing that you actually do. If that sounds like something you'd value, you can learn more at theretirementguide.com. If you like this video, please leave a comment. You might like this one. And thanks for watching.